Hello, everyone. Can you hear us or hear me? Hello? Roller Coaster Freak. Is the audio coming through okay? Volume is too soft. Any better? Yeah, I'm trying. I put a little boost on the mic right now. Should have improved at least a little bit. Okay, great. Today's live stream, sorry it took so long. I was really trying to do another live stream a lot sooner than today, but there were some scheduling issues. Uh, Today I'm joined by Naoki Niwa. Kaz couldn't make it today. He had other things on his schedule. Um, but that actually might work out in our favor since Naoki was actually covering the U18 team when they were working out here in Japan before the U18 championships. So he might have some good insight on some of the players that were on the roster there. And anyway, as for this live stream, we're going to try to focus on questions you might have regarding the 2016 draft. I've included links in the description box. There's links to lists for players that submitted their draft eligibility forms. Also, I've included two links that I posted before during one of these live streams. Basically, just player headlines, updates, and then also I've included another link to a 2016 draft kind of headline for each team. If you click into those, you should get a pretty good idea of which players are being looked at right now. And if you have any questions about the draft, of course, not just the draft, but also potentially the Nippon series. It's coming up. Um, there's some pretty interesting climax series games, especially with Otani at the end there. So if you have any questions on the Nippon series, the draft, please post them in the comments, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. Thinking this stream will probably be about an hour, hour and a half tops, maybe. Depends on how many people show up. So, are there any questions about the draft or about the Nippon series coming up? Oh, and while I'm waiting, actually there is another announcement I wanted to make. The WBC surveys. Um, I'm going to let the questions sort of pile up here before we get to them. But the WBC survey giveaway. Sorry it took so long. I was able to get 4 copies of Baseball Times' most recent issues and 4 copies of their player file. And I will be selecting 8 random winners for people that participated in the survey, and I'll be contacting you hopefully within the next couple of days. So be on the lookout for emails from me if you participated and were interested in the giveaway. Okay, so Roller Coaster Freak, how many teams do you think go for Seigi Tanaka? Also, what is your guess on who the Lions go for? 田中選手何チームぐらい行くと思いますか？あとはライオンズは西武誰を選ぶだろう。
とりあえず、田中選手が、何球団に示せるのかっていうのが、やっぱり今年のドラフト一つの目玉というか、一つの最大の注目点があるんですけど、ちょうど今日の新聞で、ロッテが田中を1位指名いくと、これが、12球団で一番早く決めました。例年はもうちょっと早くいろんな球団が表明してるんですけど、今年は遅かった。そのロッテ含めて、4球団、5球団ぐらいなのかなっていうところですね。これは本当に例年以上にちょっと始まってみないとわからないような私の特徴かなと。
私はちょっとあんまり生で見る機会がなかったんですけど、生とかで見たことありますか？この2年間だとか。
映像はありますけど、実際にちょっと球場でないです。
Okay, I just asked Naoki here how many teams he thought might go after Tanaka, and he said maybe 4 to 5 teams. Um, and teams actually usually sort of make announcements, loose announcements to the media about players they're interested, about players they might be selecting. Lotte made an announcement yesterday that they are planning to select Tanaka with their first pick. Um, I don't think any other teams have made that announcement yet, or made their announcement yet. So Lotte is the only team right now that has made an announcement. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's who they're really going to pick, but there's a very good chance that they will pick him. Which means there's probably going to be maybe 3, 4 other teams that select him. Um, I do know from reading a lot of headlines that um, there are teams that are concerned about his shoulder. It seems like he's doing okay right now. He's come back. He's pitched in a few games. Um, it doesn't seem like the shoulder is affecting him too much right now. But there is a concern. He was hurting earlier this year, and for teams that might be looking for someone that can pitch right away, he might not necessarily be a good option. Um, so that's certainly something to consider when thinking about Tanaka. If there's a team looking for immediate help, they may not go after him simply because of his shoulder. But it seems like a lot of teams think that he is one of the top pitchers out there currently available. As for the Lions, 西武は
西武は、例年通り、ピッチャーということで、あと、岸選手が FA で
そうですよね。
どうなるかというところなので、いつも以上に戦力をやっぱり考えると、田中選手もそうですけど、引退の柳というところが、勝てるピッチャー、1年間勝てるピッチャーを最優先にっていうところだと思います。名前が挙がってるのは柳だったり、佐々木。
やっぱりじゃあ大学生。
ただ他の球団との兼ね合いもあるので、甲子園で優勝した作新の今井だったり、履正社の寺島ですね。その2人の高校生も評価高いので、早いうちに勝てるだろうというところで、名前は上がっている。
Okay. Now he believes that the Lions will probably go for a pitcher, and with Kishi potentially leaving the team through free agency, a lot of who they select might depend on Kishi. It seems like he wants to exercise the FA option, but there were some reports about him wanting to go back to his hometown, but then that he really liked Tokozawa, and that felt like he had something to give back to the team, so he wanted to stay at Seibu. It's kind of back and forth. So I think a lot will depend on how the team feels Kishi is going to decide whether or not he exercises that option. Either way, they'll probably go after a pitcher that can contribute right away, and that means pitchers like Tanaka, Yanagi, and of course there's high school pitchers like Terashima and also Imai. I mean, these are also just the pitchers that have been mentioned almost ad nauseum with regards to the first picks. There's just, I mean, there's a lot of pitchers this year, a lot of interesting arms, a lot of good arms, and so. But of course, it's always there's always a few names like Tanaka, and Yanagi, and Hiroshima, Imai. I mean, these are the names that have consistently come up in the news. Um, so I wouldn't be surprised if any of those pitchers, they were to go to the Lions. And I remember I've heard in the past that the Lions have a very good scouting, um, especially when it comes to like amateur levels. So um, if they make a selection, they probably really looked into that selection. I don't know how they really feel about Tanaka. I haven't really heard his name mentioned too much with Saber reports, but he's definitely one of the top players available, so it wouldn't be too much of a surprise. And then let's see, this is a Nippon series question. I'm going to skip that question for now and then go to who is the best high school pitcher this year? 高校生で一番、まあ、一番いいピッチャーは誰か。
難しい質問。各球団のスカウトもそれで悩んでるところだと思うんですけど、まあ、もともとビッグ3、寺島、藤平と高橋と3人の評価が高くて、それ甲子園で今井達也が入ってきて、で、ビッグ4、この4人に加えて、U18、ね、アジア選手権で、堀、左の、これも、もしかしたら、まあ、外れ1位とかで示していく、まあ、上位では示してくるっていうのがあるんじゃないかという評価が出てきているので、まあ、この5人。あと、まあ、甲子園に出てないピッチャーでも、150キロ以上投げるピッチャーがいるので、北海道の古谷、まあ、誰が一番となると、本当に難しいところですけど、個人的には、僕は藤平。
あ、藤平、一番。
まあ、現時点では今井東の方が上だと思うんですけど、数年後考えると、体の大きさ、スケールだったり、変化球のキレだったりっていうのが次だといいんじゃないか。本当に個人的には。
Okay, so there's with regards to the high school pitchers, the media created this like name, the Big Three, and that I think was Fujihira. Okay, so the Big Three was Terashima, Fujihira, and Takahashi, and that was before the start of the Koshien. And after the Koshien, they added in Imai, so that was a big four. And then during the U18, Hori, there was another pitcher, high school pitcher called Hori, that did extremely well, and he also got sort of put into the mix. So it's kind of like a big five now. And also there's also this unnamed Furuya. So there's actually like 6 really good pitchers out there that could be selected in the first round, as well as a lot of other names that haven't been that probably haven't been mentioned. But those are the 6 right now, I think, that the media is kind of focusing in on. And any of those, I think, are any of those would be a good selection. In terms of his own opinion, he really liked Fujihira. He liked his, he has a big body, and he also has good off-speed pitches. He feels like there might be other pitchers that are ahead of him right now, but in a few years, he'll probably I think he thinks that that pitcher will have more to contribute than the other pitchers. So I guess depending on um, you know, I guess what you're looking for. If you're looking for someone that wants that can contribute right away, you might pick someone else. If you're looking for someone who has potential, you might. I mean, it's interesting because I would think in that list, I think maybe Imai が一番なんかこうすぐになんか OBTV の時もなんか今井はすぐにでもできるんじゃないっていうなんか話も聞いてたんですけど、
そうですね。
その中のグループで多分ですそれとも
今井は、甲子園のあのピッチングができれば、プロでもそのままできればチーム絶対すると思うんですけど、ただやっぱりその後の U18 とかではちょっとコントロールがつかめなかったりしたんで、まだちょっと未完成な部分があるんだなっていう。
それがプレッシャーと思いますか、それともただ単にこう
やっぱり夏の甲子園というのが特別なので、高校生にとってやっぱりその期間にやっぱ特別な力を出すピッチャーというのはやっぱり過去にいるので、ただそれが甲子園だけになっちゃうピッチャーもいたりして、ただもちろん力がないとそこには勝てない、力があるのは当然なんですけど、これあるピッチングをこれからどうプレーに入って再現応じるというか、さらにレベルアップできるということで、ちょっとまだいい関係で取って考えられなくては、今のピッチに関してはそうですけど。
So I just asked him about Imai, and I've heard some I guess old timers talking about Imai, and this was actually during the Koshien, so I don't think they saw him pitch during the U18, but they were really impressed with his stuff during the summer Koshien, and a lot of them were talking about how they felt he could contribute right away to an NPB team. But then he had some difficulties. He struggled with his control during the U18, and now he thinks that maybe he's still rough, not quite ready for to contribute right away. But again, these things you can't really tell until they've been given that opportunity to test themselves on the field. Um, but I think any of those pitchers I just mentioned, I think you can consider them right up there at the very top in terms of high school pitchers. Let's see, any possibility of the top five draft pick for going the draft and coming to America? Ian, when you say the top five draft pick, are you talking about all five draft picks? I'm not sure if I really understand the question. In terms of players actually ditching the NPB draft for the United States, I don't really see that. I think a lot of the players this year are kind of okay. Any top tier players. 毎年なんかこう、特に大谷と菊池とか、その日本のドラフトを、スキップしてアメリカに行くっていう噂とかはあったんですけど、今年は特にないですよね。
そうですね。
結構日本でもいい。Yeah, there haven't been any sort of rumors about players wanting to skip the NPB and go straight to the MLB this year, as in previous years. I think a lot of the players this year are saying that they want to start with the MPB and then sort of work their way up to MLB level. So I don't think there'll be any players that'll be skipping the draft this year. And Eki just asked, do you think is there going to be a position player in the first round? 第1ラウンドで野手が出る可能性はあります。
そうですね、可能性はある。
長打
長田と吉川、
長打と吉川ですか。
なんですよね。そうですね、僕もそうなんですけど。まあ、吉川の方が、こう、派手さがある感じで、まあ、ドラフトチームで、まあ、内野手、ショート、いい感じところは、
まあ、ショート内野手とかっていうのは阪神とか。
そうですね、阪神と、
Okay, there's two players that could go in the first round, and that's the player named Kyoda and Yoshikawa. Naoki Yoshikawa from Chukyo Gakuen. Chukyo Gakuen, and I think Kyoda is from Nihon University. They're both middle infielders, shortstops. Hanshin has sort of been hinting that they might go after a shortstop as a kind of the next Toritani on the team. But I haven't really heard of many other teams looking for middle infield help. Or at least, I haven't really heard of many teams looking to draft a middle infielder with their first pick. So Hanshin is a possibility, but they may actually go with the pitcher. I mean, I've been seeing more. If you look at the links that I provided, particularly the draft related news, you'll see that they're actually looking. Pitchers have been dropped more often than infielders.
まあ、阪神は去年、高山野手に実施しているので、まあ、今年は、まあ、12県最初はやっぱりピッチャーが揃うんじゃないか。で、9時で外した球団がどこかで野手、長田、吉川と、あと、大学ジャパンで4番打ってた大山、秀吉なんか、今からもしかしたらなんですけど、まあ、投手中心であることはもちろん。野手に比べて、投手に比べて、まあ、野手はちょっと数は今年は少ないかな。
So now he just added that there's a good chance that every team will select a pitcher with their first pick, but past that, like for example, if multiple teams select one pitcher and it gets into a drawing, um, their alternate picks could end up being position players. And with regards to Hanshin, they picked a position player last year, so there's a good chance that they'll pick a pitcher this year. But again, if they tie up, if another team selects the pitcher that they select, they could come back and try to select a player like for the. There's also Oyama. He's a slugger. He's also a college player. He might also be up there. If there's a team looking for someone with power. So that alternate pick, I'm not really sure. It's always kind of some teams kind of rush to make that select that alternate pick. So it'll kind of be interesting to see how teams if they modify their plans if they can't get that first pick the first time around. So yeah, that's position players. And it seems like the remaining questions right now on the board are for non-draft. So I have a question here from Ian. Do you see Otani playing any outfield while playing in Hiroshima? これ日本シリーズなんですけど、大谷は、今度の日本シリーズで外野手とかやる可能性外野で
まあ、外野では出る可能性はあると思いますけど、ピッチャー中心で、まあ、札幌ドームの時は DH で、そうですね、広島にやる時どうするんですかね。
Okay. Yeah, it's
まあ可能性はある。
it's possible, especially in Hiroshima, since there's no DH. He might. It's possible that he might get a start while he's in Hiroshima as a pitcher, and then also make the lineup, so hit for himself. Um, but yeah, I mean, outfield I guess is a possibility. And of course, in Sapporo, when they're playing at Sapporo Dome, they'll probably be DH. But yeah, anything's a possibility at this point, and even more so if the series gets deeper into later games. Let's see. What do you think of the Lions hiring Tsuji and Dragons keeping Mori as manager? This is from Roller Coaster Freak. 今度は監督の質問なんですけども、ライオンズは辻監督と中日は森監督になったんですけども、その辺はどういうふうに思いますか？良かったか悪かったか。まあまだ早いかもしれないんですけども、でも森監督はなんか結構最近なんかいろんないいことファンサービスとかいろいろとしているみたいですけど、今まであんまりそういうことしてなかったような。
そんなことも監督が変わるためになんかしようとはしてるんですけど、やっぱり世間的にはやっぱりまだ地味だなっていうのがあるので、まあもっと他にいろいろ名前整備の気持ちも上がってますけど、もっと若いフレッシュな監督になってもよかったかなと思っている。
でも、まあ、新日本はあんまりちょっとよくわかんないですけども、中日ホールの方は、例えば今、結構チームが最悪、もうめちゃめちゃになっちゃってるっていうところで、今はなんか若い監督にあげちゃってもちょっとかわいそうじゃないっていう、そういうのが、で森監督がそれをちょっとまあ、何年かかけてこう立て直すっていうか、まあ、またこう、まあまあ、ある程度ぐらいまで持っていくっていう、そういう意味では悪くはなかったな。
そうですね。そうですね。まあ、継続性っていう意味では、まあ良かったかなと思うんですけど、じゃあ何年我慢すればいいのかっていうのがあるし、じゃあ来年は優勝を狙わないのかっていうふうになってしまうので、やっぱり一日目勝負していってほしいなっていうのは。
じゃあ皆さんはもう最初からもう本当のこう第一希望の監督をもう入れちゃってやらせるっていう。
まあそうですね。その監督に、まあ、本当に3年間任せるって。その上でまあ1年2年にはこう、
まあ金本みたいな。
そうですね。そっちの方がこう選手もやりやすいですし。
まあ確かにいろいろと変わると
監督はつなぎなのかというか、3年後もいなくなるのかと思いながらやるので、全部変わって、この監督の下でさあスタートだっていうのはちょっと意味合いもじゃないかなとは思いますが、
ちなみに例えばその中日の方なんですけど、大島とか平田選手とか、今まあ FA になるかもしれないので、その辺は例えば森監督の方が良かったのか、また全然新しい人の方が良かったのかっていう、なんかそれは感じてます。なんかその、まあ、いろいろメディア見て、なんかやっぱり森監督って言うとなんか落合との仲がいい。でもなんか大島と平田はなんかあんまり落合が好きじゃないとかっていう、まあそういうなんか噂は聞いてる、まあ読んでるんですけども、その辺はなんかありますか？ありますかっていうか、例えば森監督だからちょっとFA する可能性が高くなったんじゃないかなとか、それは別にないですか？
まあ不満がどこまで不満があるのかっていうのは分からないですけれども、もし不満が今までの球団にあったとしたら、森監督ではまあ今までの継続なので、まあその不満も抱えたままなるかな。まあそれがもし違う監督に変わってもフロント陣とシーズンまでの決まってると考えたら変わってとなると、まあ、その2人の選手ももしかしたら文化中止でやったりいいよという気持ちは あるかもしれないです。まあ、どうなるか、本人たちの現実の監督のことでも一応やれているですよね。
実際どのぐらいひどいんですか、その関係性的に。なんか、その新聞によってなんかちょっと違ったりとか、東京スポーツとか読んでると結構なんかその関係性がひどいというふうに書かれてるんですけど、他の見るとそこまでじゃないような感じしますし、なんとも言えないですか。
そうですね、そこはなんとも言えないけど、監督だけ野球やってる、監督のために野球やってるわけで、
まあそうですね。
自分もあるし、ファンも支えてくれるファンもいるし、チームメイトもいいと思って、まあ何かしらの不満はあっても、こうその中にモチベーションがあれば、動くなるっていうのは、いい選択ではある。
Okay, so Lions and Dragons. Now he was talking about right now how if it were up to him, he thought maybe it might be better if both teams just started with um, their, I guess, I don't know, their first choice. I'm not sure. That might be phrasing things a little incorrectly, but um, I don't think Tsuji and Mori. I don't think either of them are really first choice managers. In some ways, they're older. They're probably there just to sort of right the ship. I mean, especially with Modi, and he's even said it during his press conference that he's just there to fix things till they get to normal, and then the new manager will step in. So maybe 2-3 years or something. I'm not really sure what the deal is with Tsuji, but there have been other names that have been dropped with Seibu, and I don't think he's really the team's first choice per se. Um, and so it's kind of, I mean, it's really kind of hard to say how the team will react. Naoki thought that maybe if they went with their first choice, not having to worry about how long the manager's going to be here, when are they going to replace him with their first choice, or when are they going to go with I mean, if there's just a lot more questions surrounding the managerial situation, I think it's harder for players to get really involved. So, he felt that maybe it would have just been better if they went with their first choices, or if they went with younger managers that could be around for a while. I followed up that with the question with I followed that up with a question about Oshima and Hirata with the Trinity Dragons. Of course, Mori Kantoku has connections with Uchiai GM, and there have been a lot of reports by the media about how Oshima and Hirata aren't quite on good, no, I don't know, not really on great terms with um, Uchiai, and how if that might affect them in their decision making when it comes to whether or not they should exercise their FA options. Uh, he doesn't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Well, it depends on just how much of a rift there is between the players and Uchiai. But if it's not that big of a deal, then they might be able to just push through and just stay where they are and resign. But if it's really bad, then then they'll probably leave, which makes sense. But yeah, so um, you know the Trinity Dragons could have they could have come in with a new manager, a young manager, and that may not have ultimately meant anything to Oshima Hirata. Um, I really don't know. I asked him if he knew anything about the connection or the relationship between Uchiai and Oshima and Hirata, but he doesn't really know what's really going on there either. So um, changing or going with a different manager may not have improved things. But in terms of the whole team plan, I think if they had gone with a newer manager or a younger manager, then maybe players would be more on board with changes, and they might be more excited about the future. As it stands right now, they're just kind of like, okay, well, in a couple of years he's going to be gone, so what then? So, but again, Um, it'll depend. Well, no, it'll be interesting to see how things turn out. Mori, I kind of mentioned Mori doing a lot of interesting things for the fans. The first, well, recently during fall practices at Nagoya Stadium, he's opened up the field to kids, and he's stayed back and signed autographs. I think Taishi did that a little bit when he took over, but I always kind of got the feeling that there wasn't that much fan interactions, or at least it didn't seem like the managers were too keen, especially well, I don't know, but it seems like Modi's trying hard to kind of fit in um, and create kind of this exciting air for fans and for players. Um, so it seems like the players are responding well to him for the time being. So I mean, it'll be interesting. I think those are definitely two things to be looking to keep your eyes open on for the 2017 season. And let's see let's go back to there's a draft question here, but we'll skip that for now and then go with. You can't get. Is anyone else having a problem with the video? I think Ed Genoid here. Ed? 'Is everyone else? Can everyone else see the stream? Okay. Okay. Nope. It's on my end. It says this should be okay. Let me just double check real quick. Screen's good. Okay. Ed, I don't know what to say. Did it just suddenly stop? Yeah, I think the stream is. I just checked the stream on my end too. It looks like it's okay. I don't know. You might want to try refreshing the video. But I guess I'll wait to see if he has anything else to add. Going back, why are there such short commercial breaks during the MVP playoffs? Wish it was the same in America. Um, この質問はなんかCM の今っていうか短いプレーオフの短く感じるけど、これはなぜなんですか？ほう。なんかそれあるんですか？多分これはイニングまだですかね。プレーオフの時もっと短くしてるんですか？それともなんかあんまり聞いたことない。そうですね。それとももっと厳密に守ってる。
まあ、それをするだったら、スポンサーはそれについて。
私は全然あんまり感じてないんですけどね。
そこは注目してなかったです。
Ian, yeah, I never noticed it, and he hasn't. Naoki hasn't noticed it either. Does it? Are they really that short? I honestly, I'm not sure if I ever. Sorry, Ed. Yeah, you might want to try a different device. I tried mine, and it seemed like um, the stream was working okay. Yeah, so Ian, I don't know. I didn't really notice it, and Naoki didn't really notice it. Although I guess maybe if you compare it to like the MLB playoffs, maybe they are a bit shorter than the MLB playoffs. But I don't think there's really a difference between the regular season and the. Oh, okay. So this, I guess, you're comparing this with the MLB playoffs. Because I don't think it changes that much during, for at least with the NPB, I don't think it changes that much between the regular season and the playoffs. Um, at least I don't really feel it that much. But it might be more noticeable if you're going from the MLB playoffs to the NPB playoffs. So, but yeah, I think it's just I mean, Japan's going through that phase where they're really trying to speed up games. So it's possible that they might be um, trying to keep things on the shorter end during the playoffs. I don't know, but again, I didn't really notice anything, and Naoki didn't either. Sorry, I'm not sure if that really answered your question. If Oshima here to lead the Dragons, it will really hurt the team, and they are already pretty bad. Yes. Um, 大島と平田が初日出たら結構良い結構
そうですね。中日としては。
ということ大島とか平田が出たら野手まあでもまだわかんないですよね。FA とかで。Okay, so, Ian, did Maeda meet or exceed your expectations for the Dodgers this season? 前田のことなんですけど、今年は I'm glad to hear. You can see. Can you see it now, Ed? I don't know if that oops was because you made it all caps or. But 今年の前だ。その予想通りだったのかな。予想を超えたのかどうかっていう質問です。
まあ、予想の範囲内の。
じゃあ別にびっくりはしなかった。
そうですね。
Yeah, he would his expectations were about on par with what Maeda did this season. Not really not really a big surprise or a letdown. Just sort of kind of within expectations. 結構前だってシーズンの始まりは結構すごかった、勢いがあって、途中からなんかこうまあ、普通っていうかまあ打たれるシーズンがすごいあります。まあシーズンの最初の頃は結構すごかったと思う。But yeah, I mean, he had a very good strong start to the season, and I think a lot of people were kind of surprised at how strong of a start he had. And of course, as the season went on, like the batters made adjustments and kind of became more normal, for lack of a better word. So yeah, but yeah, I think if you look at him, if you look at the season he has as a whole, as a total, I don't think a lot of people are too surprised at what he did this year, and so that's the answer to that. Roller coaster freak. Do you think Takakishi walks the lines for good? Is there another team not named up that could go for him, or is there any interest? Is there anything that would be interesting? 騎士のことなんですけども、ライオンズから去る可能性はあります。で、まあ、楽天以外になんか楽しみがあるんでしょうか。で、もしくはメジャーの可能性とか、してみますか。
まあ、楽天が上がってくるのと、あとまあ、FS が巨人の
まあ、いつも
そうですね。メジャーに関して今のところ話聞いてないと思います。
彼はあんまり興味ない。私もあんまり読んでない。そういうなんか、そうですね。読んでないんですけど。
年齢的なこともあるでしょうけど。
なんかどっかでちらってるんだな。そのやっぱり故障が最近多いから、メジャーもちょっとその、あんまり興味ないのも聞いたんですけど。でもあんまりそういう噂はないです。 Um, if Kishi exercises FA option, of course, Rakuten has been rumored a lot. It is his hometown, so I think they have a really good shot. Of course, anytime any FA, any player exercises their option, you have to include, the Yomiuri Giants. I'm sure there will probably be other teams, but based on like the news that I've read, it seems like it's either going to be Seibu or Rakuten if he exercises his option. As for the MLB, I haven't read any rumors. Naoki hasn't heard any rumors about him wanting to play in the MLB or of MLB teams being interested in him. I did read somewhere, I can't remember where, that MLB teams probably won't be interested in him simply because he's had a lot of injuries the last few years. So they might be. I mean, if they have any interest in him, it might be like kind of like a minor league deal, but I'm not sure if he'd go for that. So, um, yeah, I think it'll be the NPB, and it'll probably be between Seibu and maybe Rakuten. I mean, if the Giants, if he exercises the FA option, the Giants come in and offer a huge package, that he might change his mind. But based on the reports I've read, it seems like it's kind of between Seibu and Rakuten if he exercises the option. What do you think about Tanaka Kensuke's hitting streak during the climax series? 田中健介、打てない、急に長くシーズン打てなくなったっていう、それは、急になったっていう、なんかあるんですかっていう。
本人に聞くのが一番だと思うんですけど。
ただのスランプ、それともなんかこう、違う攻め方をされてるとかっていう。
いや、そこは攻め方に関しては特に
変わらない。
まあ、不運なものもそうですし、まあ、経験がある選手なので、
こういうしなくならない続きをしないんだろう。
そうですね、そういうタイプだと思います。
So Tanaka Kensuke, I mean, he just now he thinks it's just a slump, and that he's a veteran, so he'll probably be able to figure a way out of it, and it's just a matter of time. I mean, I don't know. I mean, these kind of things happen with players. They'll be going through really hot streaks and then they'll suddenly hit a cold streak. It's probably just one of those situations where he happened to hit a cold streak during the climax series. Maybe the extra, a few days off in between the climax series and the Nippon series will be enough for him to sort of regain his footing. But he doesn't expect the slump to last that long. And that maybe he'll be back at it during the Nippon series. Ian, I was able to talk to Trey Hillman before a Mariners-Astros game last month and said Otani could be a better pitcher than Darvish. Do you think this is hyperbole? Is this statement felt in Japan? この方、イアンっていう方が、アメリカでヒルマン監督と話ができるチャンスがあって、その時に大谷がダルビッシュよりもっといいピッチャーになる可能性があるっていう、それは本当の考え、本当と思いますか、それとも当たる単価を言ってるだけなのっていう、そのポテンシャルっていうのは、そこはあるんですか？
ポテンシャルは超えるものはある。それは単純に球速を見ても、やっぱり大谷君は上ですし、ピッチャーとしてスケールはやっぱり大谷選手の方が大きいのかな。ただ、ダルビッシュは変化球ストレートも速いですけど、変化球ピッチャーではあるので、その辺はまだまだダルビッシュの方が上なので、今後大谷選手が、大谷投手が、どこまで変化球ピッチャーとしての完成度をどこまで上げられるかということだと思います。この間165キロ、3球投げましたけど、ファールされてるので、あれを空振り取れるじゃないといけないでしょうし、ただ大きくポテンシャルがあるので、可能性は十分ある。
Um, yeah, I think in terms of potential, Naoki was saying that Otani certainly does have that potential to be a better pitcher than Darvish. Still not quite there yet. And in terms of velocity alone, obviously Otani is above Darvish, but in terms of um, kind of the whole pitching package, Darvish has, he's more of a complete pitcher. He has better control of his off-speed pitches than Otani does. And he just mentioned the three pitches he threw at 165 kilometers an hour during Climax Series, and I think all three of them were fouled off. So, with fastballs, I mean, hitters can always catch up to the fastball if they know it's coming. Um, so with Otani, I think the big thing with him will be whether or not he can polish his off-speed pitches to complement the fastball, so that hitters actually swing and miss at the fastball. Um, if he can do that, then certainly he can become a better pitcher than Darvish. But at this point, Darvish, in terms of the whole package, Darvish has the velocity, and he also does have good control over his off-speed pitches. And Otani just doesn't have that control over his off-speed pitches yet. So, um, but yeah, in terms of potential, there's definitely that potential. I don't think it's hyperbole. I think it's really there. So is there a possibility of Otani being used as a pitcher and hitter in the WBC next year? 大谷選手に関して、今度の WBC、今度のWBC の件ですけども、ピッチャーとバッターとして機能する可能性があります。二刀流で機能、なんか特に最シーズンの初めぐらいからは、栗山監督はどうしようかなっていう、今多分ピッチャー専念するとかっていう、そういう話もあったけども、最近になって両方やりだして、そういう可能性があるんじゃないかっていうふうにも出てきています。WBC でそれ実際にそういう両方で出る可能性が、特に本当の強化試合ではなくて、WBC の
可能性はあると思いますし、出ると思います。
出ると思います。二刀流。
代打になるのか分からないです。バッターボックス、マウンドに立つでしょうし、バッターボックスにも立つ。
今回のリリーバーみたいな可能性があるんですか？
そうですね。それ今、侍ジャパン誰がサイド投げるかっていうのが一つの課題であるので、そこで大谷話題性は
yeah, there's a possibility. There's certainly a possibility that he can be used as both a pitcher and a hitter. Although it could maybe be like as a bat off the bench, or like the way he was used in the final stage with him coming in as a closer. Maybe he'll be DHing, or maybe he'll be in the outfield, and then in the ninth inning they'll call him to close out the game. That's a possibility as well. And the Samurai Japan team doesn't have a closer right now, or at least they're not certain which pitcher they're going to go with when it comes to closing position. So it would make for an interesting conversation if Otani made the roster as a closer. But I'm not sure if that's going to actually happen. I think it's more of one of those things where if he's out there on the field, or if he's being used as a designated hitter, then maybe he'll just come in for the ninth or something. But yeah, there's definitely a possibility that he could be used as both a pitcher and a hitter during the WBC next year. So we'll go back. I think there was a question in the draft back here. It's from Eki. Is Yamaoka a first-round pick? I really like his slider. 山岡選手がまたドラフトにいるんですけども、山岡選手がファーストラウンドで行くっていう可能性は、
はい、どこかが示してくる
かもわからない。どこか。Yeah, there's a possibility. I mean, Yamaoka. I mean, when you first, I think, started pitching, I think when he was during the Koshien or something, I think Darvish had a chance um, to see him pitch, and he was really impressed with Yamaoka. So I think there's definitely, I mean, the people certainly, um, you know, I think teams are very much, they know he's there, and in general, I mean, I think for the media, I think a lot of more of the focus attention goes towards university and high school players, not so much industrial league players and independent league players. But Yamako is definitely a name that does get dropped quite a bit by the media, and I would think he would. There's a possibility he could be selected in the first round. There might be teams that avoid going with kind of the bigger names, and they might go with someone like Yamaoka in the hopes that other teams will sort of forget that he's there. He could also be maybe an alternate first round, um, but I think he's first round kind of material. Any other questions? I think I got all. If I've skipped a question, um, let me know. But I think I got all of them. Yeah, I think I caught up on the questions. So it's been about an hour now, I think, since the stream started. If there aren't any more questions, I think I might end the stream here. Um, I, I, I'm hoping to do another stream sooner than um, this time around. Will there be any non-NBA players on the Japanese roster? I guess you're talking about the WBC roster, right? WBC のチームに NPB に出てない選手が出る可能性は、例えばまあ、社会人の独立リーグとか、
今のところそれはないと。
全部プロの。
全部プロで。あとまあ、メジャーのリーグがどういう時あるかということですけども、まあ、国母監督の話を聞いても、まあ、もちろん、すごい力を持った大学生だったり、社会人の選手がいれば、まあ、選ぶ可能性はあるとは言ってましたけれども、ただ現時点では、まあ、プロで順当に最強チームを作るという意味では、やっぱりプロの選手になる。
For now, I think the WBC roster will probably be made up of professional players, NTB players. Now said there is a possibility that you might see a college player or an industrial league player, but that's only if maybe there's one or two players out there that that are just really completely wowing everyone. Otherwise, it's probably going to be NTB players for the Samurai Japan roster. And of course, also MLB. I mean, I have no idea what the situation is on the MLB players right now, whether or not they're going to get permission, but they will probably ask MLB players. ダルビッシュ、前田、田中、岩隈とかの可能性、まあ可能性。でもあれですよね、MLB 的にわからない。
そうですね、そこのとか、まあチームのとかが降りれば。
今のところ全くそういうのが見えないけど、この選手だとまあ可能性があるというのはないよね。
名前が上がったのは上原。
ああ、はい。上原のような FA
そうですね。
まあそういう。
ただそういう本当に強気どころはちょっと難しいんじゃないかなっていうのが、ピッチャーは
一郎とかは可能性がある。
可能性は
なんか一郎とかっていうのは最後のチャンスかもしれないとかっていう。
個人的には見てほしいと思ってる日本人のファンは多いでしょうけど、まあ 勝ちに行かないといけないところで、どこまで一郎選手に今どこまで力があるのか、本当にその力が必要なのかっていうところは、僕も監督の再度判断になると思うんですけど、
個人的には。
まあ入れてほしいですけどね。
なんかリーダーとしてはなんかすごくいいんじゃないかなと思うんですけど、なんか前の WBC もなんかちょっとそういうリーダー的な選手がいなかったような気がして、バラバラになってて、
そうですよね。
なんか一郎がいればなんかみんななんかちゃんとやるんじゃないかなっていう。So yeah, I mean, when it comes to pitchers, especially top tier pitchers like Darvish and Tanaka and Kuma and Maeda, there's a big question mark on whether or not teams will let them go. And right now, you know, it doesn't seem like. I mean, you never know. It's always a possibility, but I don't think they're really banking on those kind of players. They might ask for players, but I don't know if they're really necessarily banking on them actually saying yes. Uehara is a possibility. You know, I mean, he's also I think a free agent, so I think that makes it easier. Um, but in terms of pitchers, probably not. I mean, position players. You know, I was just asking him about Ichiro and what he thought about Ichiro, and you know, Ichiro is a possibility. But then again, you know, he's a lot older, and you know, it becomes a question of not whether or not you know Kokubo Kantoku feels he can contribute, and you know, if he feels if Kokubo Kantoku feels that Ichiro isn't going to be any sort of positive for the team, then you know, he might skip over Ichiro. But he's also a possibility, as is you know players like Aoki and stuff like that. But I think it's easier for position players to make the team than it is for pitchers, especially you know, after like what happened with Matsuzaka and stuff. So there's that. 上原、今後の上原はどういう行動を取るかというその MLB にまだいるのか、まあ、NPB に戻ってくるのか、それとも引退。
NPB 持ってくるのはないんじゃないかな。先発にはもう最後までメジャーで引退ですけど、まあまだ数年はやれる選手だと思うので頑張ってほしい。
So yeah, with Uehara, he doesn't think he's going to come back to the NPB. At this point, he thinks it's going to be either the MLB or retirement. I don't think, and he also thinks that you know maybe there's you know Uehara still has a couple of good years left. I also kind of get the feeling he's not going to come back to the NPB either, and that it's either going to be the MLB or retirement. So yeah, I mean, but I'm not sure if there are any teams out there in the MLB. I mean, it'll be interesting if he makes the WBC roster. Maybe you know that helps him get back to the MLB. So that's that question. And Aki, which teams are you guys rooting for in the Nippon series? Nippon series, どのチームを応援してますか? Naka's going for the Nippon Hand Fighters. I'm kind of going for Hiroshima, but I like both teams. That's the thing. So it's hard for me to kind of pick one. It might be kind of hard for him to pick one as well. I think both teams. I don't know of many people in Japan that hate either team. It's not like you know Yomiuri or Hanshin where there's kind of this hate for the team. I think both teams are kind of neutral, so you know there may be a lot more people kind of on the fence. But どっちの方が上だと思いますか？日本
本当に勢い見ても選手打線を見てもジャンプも本当に互角に近いところですごい面白いシリーズ星になるだろうなと思うんですけど、まあスペシャルな選手がいるのは日本がいるのかなと思うのと、あとは僕は今季開幕前から日本で 優勝予想してた。
ああ、なるほど。
そういう個人的なものに持ってて、まあ日本ハム互角だけども、ちょっと日本ハムが上なんじゃないかなと。
So Naoki's, yeah, that's just before Naoki's rooting for Nippon, and I just asked him, which team he thought was better, and he thinks both teams are very, very good. Both teams are very balanced. They both have pitching. They both have hitting. They're both solid on defense. But the Nippon fighters have bullpen, which is, I guess, that might be enough to push the series into their favor. Um, and I mean, if you just watch the Hawks series, I mean, I think the Nippon Hawks series, Otani was kind of a big. He had it. He influenced the series pretty big, in a pretty big way, especially when he came in and, as a closer. I don't think anyone was expecting that kind of performance. But yeah, so he gives the upper hand to Nippon, and also he actually picked Nippon to win the Nippon series at the start of the season, so he sort of has that bias as well. But so obviously he wants Nippon to win at this point. Any other questions? As I was saying a little bit earlier, I don't know when the next stream is going to be. I might try to do one stream during the draft, maybe just for the first round. I'm not 100% certain yet. And I know these announcements always come at the last minute, so it probably makes it a little more difficult for people to get to kind of show up for the live stream. And chances are the draft live stream will probably be a last minute decision as well. Past that, I don't know what I'm going to do during the off season. There might be something. I might schedule something to go along with the exhibition games against like Mexico. I can't remember the other countries, but with the Samurai Japan exhibition games, I might have live stream then, and I might also have live stream at some point before the WBC. But if you guys ever have questions, again, leave them over on YakyuDB, and if if you guys have a preference for when you actually would like to see a live stream, let me know as well. I'm fairly flexible, and I don't know if I'll always be able to have like either Naoki or Kaz with me when I do these, but if you don't mind, if it's just me, then I can certainly schedule those in maybe a little more frequently moving forward. But Ian, thank you very much. Yes, I appreciate that. I covering Japanese baseball just through YakyuDB for the website. I felt like it wasn't. I felt like I wanted to do a little bit more to sort of interact with the community. Hopefully, people are finding these live streams helpful. I don't know how helpful, but okay, this time, yeah. This is probably the time we're gonna kind of shoot for the most part. It seems like this time works out for a lot of people all around the world, not just in Japan, but also like on the other side of the world. So chances are that this will be the time that most of the future streams will also be taking place. But of course, we can make adjustments. I don't know how many. I think there are some people that were complaining that streams are taking place kind of in the middle of the night. But I think there are more people here where the time is actually a decent time for them. But, okay, so I think I'll wrap the stream up there. Thank you. Don't know if I pronounced this name right. Not my Dangti. I'm sorry. I probably completely botched the name. Thank you, Ed. Sorry you had some problems at the beginning there. I'm not really sure what the problem was there. So, again, thanks guys for showing up. I will try to do a better job next time with the announcements. Um, my, okay, my. I will make a note of that. Um, yeah, so I will try to be better about making announcements in the future. I know I keep saying that, and I apologize that it seems to be getting worse and worse instead of better. But and of course, as I said, the next live stream, if it is during the draft, then it'll probably be a last minute announcement, which means it'll probably come maybe the day before, or maybe even just a few hours before the draft. I don't know. And まあ、それってドラフトに実際行くんですね。あ、行くんです。And actually, Miwa-san, Naoki here, he's actually going to be at the draft. So, I mean, maybe we can do like a post-draft thing, and maybe have him um, come on come on a live stream again after the draft. I don't know. It depends on scheduling, but he's actually going to be there, so he might be able to provide everyone with a kind of a different viewpoint on the draft. Um, but so yeah, keep an eye on when there is a live stream. I'll probably post an update to the channel, and I'll also post an update on my Twitter, and of course at the YakyuDB community section as well. Um, okay, definitely. I mean, I'll definitely. It's something that I was thinking about, so we may very well do that. A post draft stream. So okay. If there's no other questions, I think we'll end the stream today. And again, thank you everyone for showing up. Appreciate it. And okay, doesn't look like I get any more questions. So, all right. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you maybe after the draft, or maybe before WBC. Bye. Bye.